Hi everyone. Before we start looking at the tabs that are available, let us quickly go backstage and see what options are available. Click on File, and on the left you can see a bunch of options. We have New, which creates a new document. We also have different templates available. For example, if we want to search for a resume, we can simply type resume, and there are dozens of resume templates available. You want to find something related to a project, search for that, and you will find related items available. We can obviously open existing Word documents that we have. And if we have connected our files or saved our files on OneDrive, which is the Microsoft equivalent of Google Drive, we can also access those files. In information, we have a few options. So on the right, we have properties, which gives us a few ideas in terms of the information in the document related to metadata. So we can see the size, number of pages, words. A lot of these are blank. So if you want to manually go ahead and put something here, for example, tags or comments, you can also do that. In protect document, we can restrict the amount of access we are giving to the end user, and we can also encrypt the file with a password. This is something that we will learn to do later. Then we have save and save as. You can obviously save the file locally on premise on your laptop, or you can save it on the cloud. We have some printing options. Again, something that we will cover later. We have an entire lecture dedicated to printing. In sharing, for us to be able to share a Word document, first we have to upload it to OneDrive, from where we would be able to share it and other people can access it. Or we can attach a copy. So when I click on Word document, I can directly attach the current active document into my browser settings, which is my email, and I can simply put in the email and send it across. This would not be using Gmail though, this would be using your Outlook settings. In export, we can convert our Word document into a PDF or an XPS format. And in change file type, we have a few other options available. So you have the older 97 2003 .doc format. You also have a RTF format. And if you want to, you can also click on Save As, and you can see there are a bunch of different options available. The transform button is something new. Transform allows you to convert your Word document into a web page. For example, let me just put some text inside my Word document. This is a shortcut to do that. You can simply write equal to RAND, then open and close parentheses. This will give you some text. Let me go back to transform. One more time. Let us go back to transform. And you can see that the moment we click on transform, one more time, it will open a Microsoft product called Microsoft Sway. And as you can see, in just one click, our Word document has got transformed into a web page. Fantastic. Let's come back. We also have some account settings here. I do not believe most of you will have to come here and make any changes, but do click on update frequently. Even though the update works automatically, it's a good habit to update Word very frequently. You can share feedback with Microsoft, and in options, you have a bunch of different options. I'm not going to take you through every single one. Most of these are very simple to understand, so they are self-explanatory. But definitely spend a little bit of time clicking on every single tab that you see on the left and have a look at them. For most of you, you would not need to go to options very frequently, but if you ever get stuck, always do a quick Google search and you might have to come to the options to fiddle around with a few things. For example, if you want to add add-ins, if you want to select the developer tab, if you want to use Visual Basic, and of course some trust center settings for add-ins and macros, some language settings, proofing settings, so on and so forth. A few of these options I will be taking you through as we proceed with the course. You can also see that we have a list of documents that I have opened recently. And if you click on this button, this allows you to pin the document to the top of the list, which means that if there are, let's say, 3 or 5 documents that you use very regularly, it is a good idea to pin it so that you don't have to constantly go to that folder and have to open it manually every single time. We have gone through the backstage view and the options. In the next lecture, we will navigate through all the tabs that have been given to us. And I will also show you how to use shortcuts inside these tabs. Hi everyone. In this lecture, we will look at navigating through all the options available in the ribbon. We will also look at how different shortcuts can be used to save you a lot of time. The ribbon is this entire horizontal bar that appears at the top. And as you can see in the ribbon, we have a list of different tabs available. The tabs that you see on your version of Word might be a little different to mine. Most likely, you will not see developer and you will definitely not see the easy code formatter. What is the developer tab and the easy code formatter and how do we get them is something that we would be covering later. If I go to the home tab, you will see that every tab has different groups in it. For example, the first one is the clipboard, the second one is font, then we have paragraph, and so on and so forth. On most of these groups, there is also additional options that are available when you click on the arrow in the bottom right corner, and this would open even more settings for you. If you want to hide the ribbon, and you would want to do that if you want a little extra space to work with, in the top right corner, we have a button here which allows us to either show all the tabs and the commands, which is what we are doing currently. But if you want to hide the commands and only show the tabs, you can click on Show Tabs. And if you click on Auto Hide ribbon, then both the commands and the tabs go away. But if you click anywhere on this horizontal bar at the top, you will notice that the tabs come back. And that is why it is called Auto Hide, because when you're working on the document, you do not see all the tabs and the commands, but when you click on the horizontal bar, the tabs and commands come back. So there is no perfect setting that you can choose. For example, I keep on switching between all three depending on the type of work that I'm doing on my document. But how do we navigate from one tab to all the different commands beneath it? For example, let us say we have some text with us and we want to change the font color. Now, there are a few different ways to do this. Either you manually take the mouse, click on the font color and change the font color, or we can use tooltips, which are shortcuts When you press Alt on your keyboard, you notice that there is a unique letter or a letter and a number or a number that appears for every single option that you see in the ribbon. You will notice that file is F, home is H, the search bar is Q, share is ZS, and so on and so forth. So without using the mouse, if I click on H, you notice that now I have a unique letter or a set of letters and numbers for every single command. And if you look carefully, font color is FC. So we can simply type FC and then use the arrow keys to just come down and select the color we want. Let me do that once again, but a little faster. So Alt H FC, and I can just select any color we want. I hope all of you can see how much quicker this process is. The best part is that you don't have to remember every single shortcut, just the ones that you use very frequently. Let me give you one more example. Let us say that we have this text and we want to apply some bullets. Alt H, and if you notice, bullets are N, and when I press N, the box opens up and I can just use the arrow keys to select the type of bullet that we want. So the best part is that we don't have to use the mouse at all, and simply by using the keyboard, we would be able to essentially select any of the commands that we have. So this is the second way of doing it. The first way is to do it manually. The second way is to use tooltips. The third way is to use the search bar at the top. As you can see, the Microsoft search bar, the shortcut is Alt Q. So let me press Alt Q. Now it tells us, in fact, it asks us, what do we want to search for? Let's say we want to search for a bullet. So I can simply type bullet and it automatically searches for all the relevant commands which are related to bullets. And now we can just use the arrow key and I can select the bullet we want. Very cool, right? Let me do it once again. Alt Q. This time I will type NUM, and you notice that it is giving me 4 options: add page numbers, numbering, show line numbers, and insert a number. We'll go to numbering and you can see I can simply select the type of numbering we want. The search bar was added only a few years back, and I have noticed very few people who are using it. Despite the fact that it is so prominently placed in the top middle, people don't use it because in the top center, people don't use it because they're not habitual to it. Even for me, because I have been working for so long and I remember a lot of shortcuts, it took me a while to realize that the search is extremely nice, especially when I don't remember the shortcut for something. I can simply go to the search bar and type whatever we want. Make sure to make the most of this. And the fourth way of navigating is called the quick access toolbar, what you see in the top left corner. Now on my system, there are a few commands that you see. On your system, most likely you will see a different list of commands because mine is customized. I would suggest that you right click and remove every single option that you have so that we are all starting from scratch. As you can see, I do not have anything in my commands. How do we add a shortcut? For example, I want to add the font color or the font size, let's say. Right click and add to the quick access toolbar. The moment you do that, the option appears here. And this is very handy, isn't it? Because now, even if I'm on a different tab and I want to change the font size, I don't have to go to the home tab because we can directly click here and change the font size. Even better, I can simply press Alt and you notice that my quick access toolbar has only one shortcut in it, which has the number 1. So we can click on 1 and put any number that we want. Very cool. There's no limit to the number of options you can keep in the quick access toolbar, and you can always remove the older ones and keep new ones. But it is suggested not to keep many of them. Just keep the ones that you use very, very frequently. As an extension of the quick access toolbar, we can also create a new tab of our own. Would it not be nice if we were able to select the 10 commands that we use most frequently and put it in a tab where nothing else is there but only those commands are there? To do this, we have to go to File and then Options. Since we want to customize the ribbon, that is what I select, Customize Ribbon. And you can see that there is a list of tabs available. But we want to add a new one. So I will click on New Tab. And after selecting the new tab, let us rename it. And I'm going to call it Havish. There's a group inside it. I will rename it to Group 1. Let us also insert another group and let's call the second one Group 2. Obviously, these groups are empty right now. So from the left, we can choose all the commands, and then this is a very large list because every single command in Word is visible here. I'm just going to select a few at random. For example, let me put find and add it to group 1. We will select footer and add it to group 1. And in group 2, I will put font color as well as the font size. And let me press OK. And now you notice there is a new tab created called Havish, and only those 4 commands are visible that we wanted, which is absolutely fantastic. This means that if you use 10-15 commands regularly and you don't want to spend the effort searching for them every single time, you can just put them in a tab of your own. As a matter of fact, you can also export the customized groups that you have created and the customized tabs that you have created by clicking on export so that you can share it with other people in your team. If you want to reset it, you can also reset all customizations. There's also a new feature called Customize Keyboard Shortcuts. And this essentially allows you to, let's say I select Home and I select Bold, you can see that there are already shortcuts available, but if I want to enter a new one, we can always do that. Please make sure to be very careful while doing it because you do not want to use a shortcut that overrides something else. For example, if I give the Control B to border bottom, then it might not work for the bold command. So just make sure to not use a shortcut that you're already using for something else. Okay, so in this lecture, I have shown you the ribbon, how to minimize the ribbon, how different tabs work and how there are different groups, how you can press Alt to go within the tabs and access all the commands. We have done the search bar and we have also seen how we can put different quick access toolbar commands and also how we can create custom tabs. So all of these things will help you immensely because by learning shortcuts, you are helping yourself work faster in the future. So it might take you a little bit of time to get comfortable with all these tips and tricks and shortcuts, but it is definitely time very, very well spent. Let us look at the reading views that we have. So when we go to view, we have a few commands available. And since I do not have a lot of text in this document, I quickly want to hop over to Wikipedia and copy some text. If you already have a Word document with you, you can use that as well. But I am going to select this text from Wikipedia. Including some images. So let me select something else. Great. So we have 3 pages with us, and I want to show you how you can use the View tab to make it easier to consume documents. In the View tab, you will notice that we have one page, multiple pages, and we can also set page width. Page width allows you to expand the document so it automatically fills up the amount of space that you have on your screen. When I select one page, you get one page. When I select multiple pages, it shows us multiple pages at once. Obviously, you might not be able to read all the text, but the idea here is not to read it, but just to see the flow of your document. So let me go back to one page. We also have the ability to zoom. You can set the zoom level, or you can also click on 100%, so it defaults to 100% zoom. On most laptops, you can also pinch in and pinch out on the trackpad. So how you on a smartphone will pinch in and pinch out to zoom in and zoom out on an image or a web page. Similarly, here also you can zoom in and zoom out. I would say on 9 out of 10 laptops, this should work. If you're working with a mouse, then you can press Control and use the scroll on the mouse. So if you press the Control key and then use the scroll, it will allow you to zoom in and zoom out. By default, the page movement is vertical, but we can also set it to side. And this allows us to essentially view a document like a book, like this. It's not that this is better than the vertical view, it's just a matter of choice. Some people like to read the Word document like a book. In views, we have the read mode, print layout, and web layout. The print layout is the default, and the web layout shows us how it would look on a web page or like a web page. The read mode is focused on removing all the commands in Word where you don't want to make any changes, but you simply want to read it. This is something that I use personally. I love the fact that it expands my entire document and the text is larger, much cleaner, and there are no distractions that we have. To escape, you can press the escape key. And you also have a few options available here. For example, you also have a view here, and you can see there are a few options available here. For example, the page color, where you can go to sepia like this, or you can also select inverse like this. The reason is that sometimes, because some readers might have some level of color blindness, or maybe the colors on the document are not very easy to consume, you might want to experiment with these things. Okay, we also have something new called immersive group, where you have a focus mode. The focus mode, as it says, just creates a simple black background and you can focus just on the document without any other distractions. After that, you have an immersive reader. The immersive reader is something very new and very exciting. The immersive reader allows you to select different ways of consuming the information. For example, we can change the column width so I can make it wide so it fills up the entire screen. I can make it moderate or I can make it narrow. This is the one that I use most of the time. And you can also change the page color, so you can choose any color that you want. And then you can choose the line focus. What that means is that if I select one line, then it would only focus on one line like this. And I can use the up and the down arrow to navigate the document. The idea here is that complete zero distractions and you can focus on the document line by line. Let's say if you're proofreading or editing it. Obviously, you have the options for 3 and 5 lines as well. So 5 lines is something I use personally, like this. Then we also have the option, let me turn off the line focus. You also have text spacing, which allows you to increase the spacing in the words. And I'm sure all of you would agree that the default is probably not the best way to consume data or text in our case. If you increase the text spacing, it becomes much cleaner. Then we also have the option of syllables, which means that breaks would be inserted in every word wherever wherever there is more than one syllable. For example, here I can see that in final, because there are two syllables, we have fi null. It puts a dot in between so that we know that there are two syllables in it. If I click on read aloud, it will read the document for you. And in the top right corner, you have the ability to go to settings and change the reading speed, as well as choose between different voices available. Let's come back to the view tab. So we have seen the views, we have seen the immersive group, we have seen page movement, and we have also seen zoom. In show, it's very simple. We have the ruler, which you can either hide or make it visible. And the purpose of the ruler is that the ruler allows you, for more advanced operations, measure things. For example, if you have table borders, if you have tab stops, that is where the ruler can help you a lot, making professional documents where it is completely correctly rendered. For most of us, the ruler might not be needed, but I suggest that you learn it so that in case you need it in the future, you know how it works. We also have grid lines. Grid lines are used when you're making shapes and putting images in the document, which we don't do very often. But if you want to be very precise with the way the text, the images and pictures are appearing, the grid lines might help. Then we have the navigation pane, something I'll be covering later. The navigation pane is used when you have a table of content or you have created some bookmarks. And it also gives you the ability of jumping to a specific page in the document. On the right, we have SharePoint, which we do not want to cover right now. We have macros, which again we want to skip. I will be discussing macros much later in the course. And then we have switch windows. For example, let's say we have another Word document that is open. And I just want to put some text here. If you want to switch from one Word document to the other, there's a very simple way of doing that. You can simply click on switch windows and it only shows you all the other Word documents that are open on your system. So unlike Alt tab, which will show you all the different applications that are open, switch windows will only show you the Word documents that are open. Personally, what I do is I right click and add it to the quick access toolbar so that at any point, if I want to switch between my windows, I have this option available in the top left corner. Let me come back. And finally, we have new window, which allows us to open a second copy of the same document. We are working on document 3 right now. So when I click on new window, you will notice that document 3-2 has been opened. And if you press Alt tab, you will notice that two copies of the same document are present. But why would you want to do that? The reason is that I have a split button here, but the split is used when I want to look at two sections of the same document. That's not really what we want to do. And if I look at arrange all, it opens all the open windows so I can see them all at once. Let us try this. But this doesn't really look very good, right? Because what it is doing is that there are 3 Word documents and it is opening every single one of them. But why would you want to do that? So let me quickly maximize and then minimize all the other documents. See, the purpose of making a new window, for example, we have document 3.1 and document 3.2. is that you can press Alt Tab to move between both the documents. And any change that happens on one will happen on the other one at the same time. But what we want to do is press Windows Tab, not Alt Tab. Press the Windows button and Tab. Now you notice that all the applications are visible and I have document 3.2 and document 3.1. On document 3.1, if I right click, I can snap this window to the left of my screen like this. And now on the right side, we can select any other application that we want. In our case, I want to select document 3.2. And you notice that it is showing me different pages of the same document at the same time. This is a great way of comparing, of editing longer documents, or maybe copying and pasting text between different pages. Go through the example a few more times in case you haven't understood it. Even though it's very simple, you just have to click on new window, create a new copy of that document, and then you will be able to view both at the same time. How does split work? Split works with a single document. Now you notice that I can scroll the part that is at the top, so I can view page 1, and the bottom half, I can view page number 3. Fantastic, right? Because if you have 50 pages and you want to look at page 5 and page 17 at the same time, it's not really possible. And this is how we do it. We can click on split. To remove it, you can also remove the split, and you can also use this bar, this control bar, to choose how much of each split you want to see. If you would prefer side by side, you can also select side by side. And in side by side, I can select another document. So I can select document 4. So this is so cool. I can see, let me just put some text here. So I can see document 4 on the left. I can see document 3 on the right, and I can also see different pages of document 3 at the same time. So there is really a lot of text that I'm able to see. Very, very helpful when you want to do comparison of different text that you have. Let me minimize this, maximize this, and remove the split. So that completes our lecture on view. Again, view is something that a lot of users on Word neglect, but I'm sure you will agree with me that learning how to view documents can also be very handy. Not because it saves you time necessarily, but because consuming content becomes a much more pleasant experience if you know the different ways of consuming the content using View. Let us now look at different options in the Layout tab. This lecture is fairly simple and not very long. In Layout, we don't really have a lot of options. In Layout, we can choose different margins. The normal margin would be 1 inch on each side, top, bottom, left, and right. Personally, I like to keep my documents in narrow, which means that there is more text that you can view, but it's a matter of choice and it's a matter of organization policy. The default usually would be normal, but you can also select different types of margins, and you can also set your own custom margins. Very simple to use. In custom margin, let us say on the left and right, you want 1 inch, but at the top and at the bottom, you only want maybe 1 centimeter only. Then top and bottom is changed, but left and right remains the same. Let me go back to custom margins. In addition to selecting the margin size on top left, bottom and right, we also have the option to change the orientation, and you can also select the orientation for different pages. For example, if you want the first page to be horizontal, the second to be vertical, and the next 5 to be horizontal, this is how you would do it. Let me explain. We want the first page to be vertical, so we let it be. On the second page, we will go to margins, custom margin, and select landscape, but only to the selected text. So you notice that the first and the third page and the fourth page are vertical, but the second is horizontal. Very important tip. There are also direct shortcuts to change from portrait to landscape, but keep in mind that this would be for the entire document, not for a specific page. We also have options to choose the paper size. By default, we would all work with an A4, but it's good to know that you can also choose different sizes, different standard sizes. And in case you have a requirement to create a specific dimension, you can also choose the width and the height. In layout, you have a few options related to sections, vertical alignments, but this is something we don't use very often, so we can skip this. We also have a shortcut for the size, so we have standard sizes available, and obviously we can insert our own custom sizes. Columns is again a feature that is so useful, and I have seen very few people use it. If you have a lot of text and you want to make it look more professional, like a report, for example, you can go to columns and simply select not one column but any other number. So we say 2, or if we say 3, I'm sure you will agree that the data looks much cleaner and much more easy to consume now. In breaks, we have different types of breaks available. For example, if we have a lot of text, but I want the text starting with these two lines to start on the next page, I can go to breaks and insert next page. And you notice the text will jump to the next page. The shortcut for this is Control Enter. So if I press Control Enter, the same thing happens. Similarly, you have a few other options. So we have text wrapping. Text wrapping again is something I will cover when we work with how to handle pictures. And if you select continuous, then it inserts a section break and starts a new section on the same page. So if I insert a section break, then this becomes a new section for us. It may not make a lot of sense right now, but if I go to home and if you click on the paragraph mark and other symbols, you notice that a section break has been created. This is a more advanced feature. For most of you, it might not be required, but if you do work with a lot of Word documents, then knowing how section break works and how page break works might be very handy. I will be covering the different types of marks and symbols later when we look at how we work with text. Then in layout, we also have some paragraph options available. So we have indent and we have spacing. Indent essentially means that from the left, I can move it towards the right like this. I can also do this by selecting the small rectangle, which is the left indent, and moving it. Same thing. Indent is here and here. Spacing is spacing. So if you select some text and if you change the spacing changes. So this is before and this is after. But there are many more options available. So if you go to the additional options, which are our paragraph settings, you will notice that we also have spacing, which is before and after, obviously, and we also have the line spacing. For example, if I change the line spacing to double, then the data looks like this. That means that there is a single line which is blank between two lines. And obviously, I can go back and change it to single or maybe exactly 12 points. So it is exactly 12 points. It might take you a little bit of hit and trial to try and get exactly what you want, but this is where the options are. Thankfully, it also gives you a preview so you can at least see how it would look. All right. So let me just check if there's anything else that I want to show you. Right. Alignment we will be covering later. We also have some arrange options in layout. So we have position, wrap text, forward, backward, selection pane. But most of these are grayed out. And the reason is that selection options for arrange only come when we have some images or shapes in our Word document, which we will be looking at later. Hi everyone. So far we have seen shortcuts, navigation, setting up the Word document, working with multiple documents, but we have not really worked with text so far, which is where you would be spending most of your time. So this is going to be a very interesting and probably one of the most important lectures. Not particularly difficult, but I would still suggest all of you to practice as much as you can and as many times as you can. In the Home tab, we have clipboard, font, paragraph, styles, and editing, and I will take you through all of them. In paste, we have different types of paste available. So let me first copy something. I'm first going to remove everything, come back to the web page and copy some text. If we paste it, it comes like this. This means that Final Fantasy 9 is bold and italicized. There are some hyperlinks here as well. If we click on Control, there are a few options available. We have the source formatting, which is what we have kept. Then we have merge formatting, which means that the default that we have in Word is will be honored. And then we have only text. So this is the one we want so that all the hyperlinks go away. But since I do want the link, I will simply do a Control V. In font, we have bold, italic, and underline. We all know this. Keep in mind, we also have different types of underlines. Most people do not realize this. Since we are so habitual to using Control U, we don't realize that there are different types of underlines that we can use. For example, let me just put one single line and I can go to underline, and there are very interesting types of underlines available. As a matter of fact, I can also go to underline color and choose a different interesting color for the underline like this. And if we go to more underlines, you notice that here we have all the options very neatly given to you, and you can also see the preview here, which is very handy, so that before selecting it, you can also see how it would look. After that, we have the strike through, which is like this. Then we have subscript and superscript. For example, if I've written x2, but I would like this 2 to come like a x to the power of 2, I can select superscript or I can select subscript so that the data looks like this. We already know the font color. I'm sorry, we know the font face and we know the font size. Notice there are shortcuts for these as well. So we have Control Shift F and we also have Control Shift P. Another way of working with text is to simply right click after you select the text, and this mini toolbar appears where you can see some basic, most commonly used options like font face, font size, bold, italic, underline, highlight, some bullets, so on and so forth. It might not have what you need all the time, but this is what we use 80% of the time at least. Okay, next to the font size, we have two individual buttons for increasing and decreasing the font size. I'm not quite sure why they have done it, but the option is there. Then we also have change case, which allows us to change the case in one click. So this is sentence case. This is lowercase. Then we have uppercase. And we also have something called capitalize each word, which looks like this. So the first letter of every word will be capitalized. This is very useful when you want to create headings for different types of documents and reports. For now, let me go back to sentence case. We also have clear all formatting. So if I select the text and click on clear all the formatting goes away. Notice the hyperlink will still be there, only the formatting will go away. For example, if we had a different color here, I'm choosing a green. And if I select clear all formatting, you notice the color has gone away. As a matter of fact, if I clear the formatting, you notice the size also becomes standard, which is 11. So it's a great way of making the text in a document uniform, especially when you have the text which is highly non-uniform, which happens when you copy text from different places. We have the highlight color, which is very simple. It allows you to highlight some text. There are different colors available. We can't choose any color we want, but you have a list of 15 colors available. And then we also have our text effects. In text effect, we have some very tacky looking text effect, but then sometimes you might want to use it, but I would suggest use it with a lot of caution because most of them would be probably too bold and too flashy to be used. But it's good to know that all these options are there in case you want to make a more flashy report. Something new that has been added is also called ligatures. What this means is that if I have FFI like this, and let me zoom in, let me increase the font. Notice that FFI are not connected to each other. What that means is that from a printer perspective, I would like FFI to be connected so that it looks much nicer. So I can simply go to text effects, go to ligatures and select standard only. This improves text readability because now it will look like this. Now, you might be a little confused and wonder, but why exactly are we doing this? It's a little hard to explain, but in a lot of print documents, we do this because it makes text easier to read. And this is already a very well-defined area. So if you just say ligatures, you will see how special characters can combine two or sometimes three characters into a single character. And why are we doing it? Because otherwise characters will crash into each other. For example, if you're using F and I together, uh, it might be difficult for people to read that, and that's the reason we do this. We don't really need to get into the theory behind it, but it's good to know that this has been added. Quite a lot of people used to ask for this. Okay, we also have stylistic sets, but I will not get into this. In the next group, we have paragraph, very simple. Let me first remove all this. So we have bullets. For bullets, I need some text, so I can write equal to RAND 7, comma 2. This means that I want to get 7 paragraphs with 2 sentences each, like this. Now we can go to bullet and we have different types of bullets available, like this. I also have numbered bullets or numbered list, like this. Let me select one. I'm selecting the very first one. And if I select the second point, I press the tab key, you notice that it makes it a subpoint. Same thing, I can make it a subpoint and I can make it a subpoint of B. I hope you can see what we are doing. And how do you go back? You can simply do Shift Tab that allows you to go back. We also have options called decrease and increase indent is the same as the tab key or the Shift tab. So you can make a point as a subpoint or the subpoint. Then in the third option, we can also create different types of custom list. It's not very difficult, but it is something where you will have to spend some time understanding it. So if you go to the change list level, you can see I can choose the type of specific symbol that I want to keep. I can also define a new list type or a style where I can say that different levels will have different types of styles. Again, this is an area which I will not get into detail. If you are interested, you can always Google it and see how to define a custom list on Microsoft Word. But for most of us, this would get the job done if we simply use the default list, either the normal bullet or the numbered list, or our third one, which has multiple levels, it would get the job done. We also have an option to use line and paragraph spacing here. Remember, we did this earlier. So when we had gone to paragraph, we had this option called line spacing. The same thing is available here as well at the click of a button. As you can see, works very well like this. On the left, we have align left, align center, and align right. And we also have justify. Very simple. We have shortcuts for everything. Control L, Control E, Control R, and Control J. For example, this is left aligned. This would be right aligned, center aligned. In fact, let me first remove the bullets so that it makes much more sense. Okay, so center aligned, right aligned, left aligned, and justified. Justified is very useful because if we do not do justified, then on the right, you notice that the text is not really coming uniformly. And to do that, you will have to press Ctrl J to make it justified like this. We also have some colors here, so I can select my shading like this. And we also have borders available, right? So I can, let's say, apply an outside border like this. Is this a table? We're not really creating a table because a lot of people feel this is a table. It's a different way of highlighting the text that we have. Of course, in borders, we have many options available. I'll take you through all of these when we cover the topic on working with tables. After this, we have styles. As you can see, we have some predefined styles. So we have strong, intense, emphasis, so on and so forth. So this is a quick way of changing the text, color, the bold, the italic, and so on and so forth. For example, heading 3 is like this. Heading 4 is like this. It creates some differentiation between different paragraphs that you have. Obviously, you can also create your own style. For example, I can call it Harish M Consulting, and I can modify it. I will say that the format should be Georgia for the font. I'm sorry, let me do that again. So create a style. In fact, I already have Havisham Consulting, so I'll modify it. So format and font. So I have Georgia. I want it to be bold and I want it to be 30. We also want the font color to be this particular color. And I want an underline, which is a double underline. And yeah, I think that should be good. So what you would notice is that we have created a new style that you can find here. So cool, right? And anytime you want to change the text to match that specific style, you can simply click on that style. You're working on a different document, and I'm sorry, when I'm working on another Word document, and I have styles with me, you will notice that that style does not appear here because the style is document specific. I believe there is some way to be able to copy the style from one document to the other, but I can't seem to recollect how that works. Maybe you can just Google that. After that, we have find, replace, and select. Again, select will only be applicable when we have some shapes or images, which we don't have right now, so we will cover this later. Find and replace is like it says find and replace. So find allows you to find some text. For example, I want to search for video, and it tells me that if I go to results, that the text video is appearing two times like this. Once again, if I go to find and I click on advanced find, then I get a box open. And here you notice that you can also go to replace and say that wherever video is written, I want to change it to videos, for example. And I click on replace all, and you can see it confirms that two replacements have been made. We also have options in more, which are for advanced find options, where we can choose specific formats and specific type of characters, but this is something I'll be covering later. For now, we just want to focus on the simple find and replace. We have already seen how dictate works. Dictate allows us to select some text and read it out. We had seen this in the review tab, read aloud, and we also have dictate available here. So select the text, click on dictate. Oh, I'm really sorry. So dictate would be, I don't know what I was thinking. So dictate would be not text to speech. Dictate would be speech to text. For example, I can select a blank document, click on dictate. Hi. The dictate option allows you to speak to the Microsoft Word document, and it transcribes your text, or rather your speech to text, in real time. This is a huge time saver, and the best part is that you can speak in a natural tone at a natural rate of speech, and the tool works very effectively. As you can see, everybody, it works really well. And because it is using Microsoft AI services, even if I make a small mistake here and there, or it is not able to catch what I said, it will autocorrect it. So to stop the dictate, you have to click on the dictate button. Now you notice that some things did not come correctly. For example, I said AI, but that did not work, which is all right. If you're in a quiet room, especially in a soundproof room or a recording studio, this would work really well. And the idea is not really to compete with expensive specialized tools available. Even if this gets or catches 70-80% of what you said, it's still a huge time saver. In settings, I can also um, preview certain languages available. It's still a very small list, but they expect to add more in the future. And then I also have auto punctuation so that the full stops and the commas come automatically. And there is a profanity filter which you can turn on or off. After dictate, we have editor, and editor allows us to essentially check for some spelling, grammar, and writing suggestions. This is something that I will be covering later, so I want to skip this for now. I have experimented with, sorry about that, got a little excited. So in spoken language, you can select the new preview languages as well. Now remember, these are in preview, so this might not work very effectively, but I can select Hindi as well. And when we click on microphone, you will see that we can speak in Hindi and it will translate it. I'm sorry, it will transcribe it. मैं बोल सकता हूँ और Microsoft Word मेरी स्पीच को हिंदी में बदल देगा. This is what we want to say. मैं बोल सकता हूँ और Microsoft Word मेरी स्पीच को हिंदी में बदल देगा. As you can see, works quite well. And this would also tell you that there is a translate feature available in Word. but it's a teaser, something I'll cover later for you, how to convert one language into a different language. So that completes our fairly long lecture. We have gone through the Home tab and seen clipboard settings, font, paragraph, styles, editing, voice. Editor we have left for later, and translate also I have left for later. One small topic that I forgot to talk about was Format Painter, which I'm sure a lot of you already use. So let me just get some text here. And if I have the format for the first paragraph like this, and I want to copy the same format to certain other paragraphs, I can simply click on the Format Painter and select it like this. If you want to copy the format more than once, you can double click on the Format Painter. And in fact, let me show you a better way of doing it. You can simply press Ctrl Shift C and Ctrl Shift V. So I select the text, Ctrl Shift C, select the text, Ctrl Shift V, and once again, Ctrl Shift V. Very easy way of copying the format in multiple places. And before we wrap up the lecture, let me also show you certain tips when it comes to selecting text. You can take your arrow to the left margin, and this allows you to select the entire line like this. It's very handy. If you want to select multiple lines, you can simply click and drag, and it selects multiple lines like this. If you double click, it will select one word, but if you triple click, it will select the entire paragraph. For example, if I do a triple click, it selects the entire paragraph. Also, if you want to delete some text, let's say I want to delete some text going backwards, rather than pressing backspace, you can simply press Control backspace, which will allow you to delete one word at a time. Similarly, if you want to delete from the right, you can press Control Delete. That will allow you to delete one word at a time from the left. So small tips, and they help you save quite a lot of time. Hi everyone. In the last lecture, we saw how we work with text, and in this lecture, we want to look at how we work with tables. So I have a blank slate that we're working on. We have a blank document. I click on Insert, and then we have Table available. Now, there are a few different ways of making a table. Either you select the number of rows and columns and make a table, or you can insert an Excel spreadsheet, or you can insert a quick table, which has a few options like calendars and tabular list and so on and so forth. First, we will start with the normal table. I will insert a table with 5 rows and 2 columns. We have the name, we have sales, we have Havish, Anmol, Talha, and Shreyas. The sales is 10, 30, 20, and 50. To navigate in the table, you can use the arrow keys to go from potentially one cell to the other. Even though these are not cells like we have on Excel, for convenience, we'll call them cells. Obviously, we have a table border, and the moment you create a table, there is a new contextual tab that appears called Table Design. If you're outside the table, that tab will not appear. You have to be somewhere inside the table. Let's go through the options one by one. So on the left, we have header row, total row, banded rows like this. And you can, of course, turn it on and off. Let me explain what that means. I have different types of styles available here. I want to choose something more fancy like this. And you notice that the first row has a different color and a different style since we have the header row selected. If we deselect it, it looks like this. Total row means that in case you had an aggregation at the end, for example, let's say we had the sum at the end, which is 110, we can also add the total row. So you get a slightly different style for the total row. Banded rows allows you to keep this alternating color, which looks, in my opinion, very nice. And I really feel that you should keep that. Then you have options for the first column, last column, banded columns. So in case you have multiple columns, the same logic as the banded rows also applies there. In table styles, you can see you have many different options available. So do experiment with them. And obviously you can also modify it or create a new table style. Very straightforward. So I can say HMC and I want to have a triple border for some reason. I want to have a 1.5 point and I want to keep the border as all border like this. Just giving an example. And I also want to keep a different color. So maybe something like this. And this is the inside color. And you can also choose the alignment. So I can choose between top, middle, bottom, left, right, center. So I can choose align center. So this would be middle and center. Once we click on OK, you can see that I have that new style available at the top and I can define my own style like this. Let me go back. Once again, in table design, we have shading available, which is very clear. You can change the color. If you're using alternate color, then shading might be a little impractical. Correct. In border styles, we have different types of underlines available. Not underlines, but essentially the border style available. You can also go to border sampler, which will essentially select a specific border that you have. What that means is that if you already have a report with you and there is a specific border that has been used and you want to detect what is the type of border, you can use the border sampler. Of course, you can change the style and the color and the point. You can choose the type of border that you want. For example, if I select everything, let me just choose something more interesting. Okay, this is clear. I want to choose 2.25 and I want to apply not all border, but I want to select the entire table and apply outside border. So you notice this yellow border is only applied to the outside of my table like this. Border painter is just the same as format painter. So you can choose one table and let's say I have another table here which has a different style. I can choose the first table, go to the border painter and then select the next table. Okay, that doesn't really seem to work. I don't think this works with tables. I think this only works with a single border. So let me quickly check. So it will apply the look of the border you're applying. Okay, so I want to select border painter. This is the border we have, and I should be able to apply that here as well. So we can choose one single border and apply it in other borders inside the same table or a different table. But you can't choose the entire table at the same time, like I tried to do incorrectly. All right. In addition to the design options that you have, we have something even more important, which is the layout. In layout, we have many different options available. For example, we have something called autofit. I'm not going left to right, I'm going in an order which I feel would make much more sense to you. So autofit allows you to autofit the content. So autofit to content means that it will not use any extra space. Autofit window means that it will fill up the entire window. And autofit and fixed column width means that I can use a fixed column width. It would not be applicable now. This would only be applicable when you're working with Excel files. You can obviously choose the height and the width. And I'm sure all of you have faced this problem where sometimes certain rows are of a different height. And it's very irritating to come and change them manually like this. What is the trick? Select everything. Either you can put the height that you want. So if I put 4, I'm sorry, if I put 1, then I get 1. If I put 0.5, then I get 0.5. But sometimes you want to increase the height in the entire table, and you don't want to do that to each row one by one. So select and click on distribute rows, which means that the table height overall will not decrease, but the height of every individual row will increase. Same thing we can do with distribute columns as well. We have many more options available in cell size like this. And we will not go through all of this in detail, but you can see that there are many options here which allow you to control row, column, and cells individually. In fact, I realized that in the previous lecture, I told you at some point that we don't call it a cell, but we do call it a cell, right? Just like we do it on Excel. All right, so we have done the cell size options. I've told you the most important ones, even though there are many more options available. Alignment is very simple. We have top, middle, bottom, and we also have left, center, and right. So if I select everything, I can put it in the, let's say, the top center, so it appears like this, or I can put it in the middle center, so it appears like this. We also have text direction. So if I have my headers and I, let's say, have also auto fitted, I can go to text direction and I can change the direction like this. So it keeps on rotating it every time I click on it. Let me undo that. Then we have cell margins. Cell margins, again, we usually keep it as the default. It's a little bit like the margin that we have for the entire document. But if you want to fiddle around with this, you can always do that. So if I put a 1 centimeter, my top and bottom, you notice that margin is always applied. So even if you keep the height as a small number, that margin will always be applied. All right, after this, we have rows and columns. So we can obviously insert above, below, left, and right. So if I want to insert row above, column to the left, like this. You can also insert cells, right? So if I want to insert, let's say, a shift cell down, for example, let us say we had some more rows. I wanted to shift these three values down. So I can just select everything and say shift cells down and it will get shifted down. So three new rows are created and the values are shifted down. All right, what else? Then we have merge and split, which is very handy. For example, sometimes you might have, let's say, I'm just going to remove this. So right click, delete and delete rows. Sometimes I have another column and I might have, let us say, the, um, I don't know, the additional remark. And here I want to say new customer, right? Like this. I also want to copy the same format here. One moment, like this. In fact, that's all right. Let's leave it like that. Let's put it in the center at least. Perfect. And sometimes you might want to put color in both the cells. What that means is you want to merge the cells, just like you do on Excel. So I can select both of them and then click on merge cells. Very simple. It gets merged like this. Interestingly, you also have the option now for a split cells. For example, if I click on this one cell where Shreyas is written and I click on split cells, then it gets broken into two columns like this, only for that one particular row. So it's very interesting and it can be quite handy when you're creating slightly more complicated tables. So we have merge and split. And if you want to split your table into multiple tables, I can just select any one row and click on split table. And the table gets split into two tables, each with its own heading in the top row. Great. I think that about covers most of the important things. And I also want to undo some of these operations and show you how you would see the sum at the end. Now you can't just write equal to sum, that wouldn't really work. But you can click on formula and then you can say sum above. Now you can see that I have different types of number formats. I also have different paste functions available. So we have the most obvious ones, sum, average, count, max, min. So if I say sum of above, it will automatically show me the sum of the values above. Very handy. And if you press Shift F9, so I'm giving you an advanced shortcut. If you press Shift F9, the function key, it will show you what has been written at the backend, sum above, like this. And if I insert a row, and let's say I am adding one more name with a value, how does this number get updated? You simply have to right click and then say on the number, you have to right click and then say update field. You also have options to edit the field, where you will have many more advanced options available, but we don't want to do this at the moment, not in the scope of the course. And then we also have toggle field codes that allows you to do the same thing as Shift F9, which I showed you earlier. Excellent. We also have a sort feature, so I can click on sort and say that I want to sort what? I want to sort all my sales value, which is a number, in a descending order. And I click on OK, and you notice all the values get sorted. But unfortunately, the sum also got sorted. So make sure to only select everything except the sum. Click on sort, and now you notice I can sort my sales number descending and my data gets sorted. So you don't have to take the data back to Excel and then bring it back. It works beautifully. And the last thing, if you want to convert a table back to normal text, you can just click on convert to text and it gets converted to a table. You can also choose the separator. So I will choose a tab as a separator and I get the data like this. If I choose, let us say, an underscore, so I'm putting a custom character as a separator, then the data will look like this. It's very handy because sometimes you can't just upload a regular table to the cloud. If you're working with an ERP or an MIS, you might want to follow a specific format that has been given to you. It's handy to be able to convert a table into a specific format, which is a much cleaner format of simply text values. Also, if your table is really large, let's say it spills into 2 pages, let me also go to view and select multiple pages. You'll notice that the heading is not appearing on the next page, which might not be very user friendly. So I want to go to layout and we select repeat header rows so that the header appears on all the pages till where the table is being expanded or extended. In the next lecture, we will look at how Excel tables can be connected to Word documents and how we can also work with Excel spreadsheets that have been created inside the Word document. Hi everyone. In the last lecture, we worked with tables and we went through several design and layout options. And in this lecture, we want to look at how we can work with Excel tables in Microsoft Word. On Insert, when I go to Table, there is an option called Excel Spreadsheet. What this means is that we will be inserting or rather creating a blank spreadsheet inside Excel. But then what do you do if you already have an Excel sheet? For example, I have this data with me. I'm just selecting a few rows and columns. Control C. Now when we come back and I do Control V, you notice there are a few options available. On the control, we have the option to keep source formatting, to use destination styles, to link and keep the source formatting. This means that if any change happens to the original Excel, the change will happen here as well. Just like that, we also have a link with the destination style. So any change in the Excel will happen here, but the style will be a different style. We can obviously paste it as a picture, or we can keep it as text only. Now, most of us know this, and there are these 6 options available. This is not what we want to do. What I want to do is to do Control C, come back, and then go to Home, or go to Paste, and then go to Paste Special. In Paste Special, we go to Paste Link, and in Paste Link, we have the option for a Microsoft Excel worksheet object. Now, some of you must be wondering that, Havish, if we had just done a Control V and I had also selected link and keep source formatting, what is the real difference other than the format being a little different? The difference, everyone, is that this is linked. If I go back and I change, let's say, Aaron to Havish, you notice the change should reflect here. I'm just checking why it is not reflecting. Also, we do have to update it. I will select the table and right click and update link. And you notice it becomes Havish. Here as well, if I want to do a right click, you notice it doesn't work. And very interestingly, this one looks like an image. So we know what this is, right? Once again, when I copy data, we come back, we do control, I just wrote it on a new page. When we do control V and we select link, we know how it works, right? We can change a value and the change happens in our Word document as well. But let us see how it works with the embed that we have done. So let me delete this and let's just come back to one page. Once again, how did we do this? We did Control C, we came back, went to paste, paste special, and then we went to paste link and Microsoft Excel worksheet object. Now what happens is that this looks like an image, but this is actually an embedded object. What that means is that if I double click on this, it opens up that Excel file, right? And obviously any change that happens here, right, will happen here as well. So if I update the link, it gets updated. So as you can see on linked worksheet object, we can edit it, we can open it, or we can also convert it. Conversion would here not really work because we don't really have any other option. What do you think will happen when I close the Excel file? Now when I right click and we go to linked worksheet object and we click on edit link, you notice that it opens that Excel file. Very cool, right? So this is like a link between two documents, and any change that happens on the Excel can happen on the Word document. And if you want to open that Excel directly from Word, you can do that as well. So this works great. But you know what? There is a bit of a problem here. The problem here is that we cannot really put our own values in it. What that means is, I have these 10 records, but if I, for example, want to add some remarks at the bottom, I can't do that, right? And the problem is that this data is coming directly from that Excel file, so I'll have to make a change to that Excel file, which would not be possible. This is another way of doing it. I will insert table and I will go to Excel spreadsheet. What has happened now is that we are working inside Word, so you can see that in the top left corner. And then we have these Excel options available, and I also have a Excel workbook here. I can now go to that Excel. Let me reopen it. We select that data. So I will select the same set of rows that we had. And of course, we can do a Control V if we wanted to. I don't want to do that. I want to do a paste special. So in paste, we will select paste link. That would be this one. What this means is that if you look at the formula bar, every single value has been connected to that workbook, to that sheet, to that cell. Once again on paste, we can select the formats as well. Let me do that once again. So paste and formatting. And let me also make everything center aligned and increase the column width. Let's understand what this means. What do we have here? We have an object. If I double click on the object, I can go to the edit mode. If a change happens here, so if I change Aaron to Havish once again, the change happens here real time. This time you don't have to update the link. Because we have done it using a blank Excel spreadsheet, the change happens real time. And if you now want to add 2 more rows below this, I can simply double click, expand my Excel spreadsheet, and I want to add a remark here saying my top customers for last month. Very cool, right? What this means is that you have selected 11 rows from here. It is an active link with the table in the Word document, and you're also able to make further additional changes to the Excel file. So everything can be put inside one single object where some data is coming from one Excel and maybe some other data is coming from a different Excel. It is not even necessary that all the links are coming from a single file. They can come from multiple files as well. So the process is slightly tricky. So I would again suggest you to practice this. It's not difficult, but it is a little complex. So you will have to watch the video a few times. And this is super handy because connecting Excel to Word is something that I'm sure all of you will agree is a very common requirement. As a continuation, let me also show you how charts can be included since it is connected to Excel. I can go to Insert Chart, and this is a blank chart that we're inserting. So we get the chart, and we also get an accompanying Excel. So I can make the changes here. I can say that my categories are, let's say, A, B, C, and D. My series are Q1, Q2, and Q3. And let's keep some different numbers. So I'll put some random numbers between 100 and 200. As you can see, we have made a chart here. And at any point, if you want to edit the numbers or the labels or the data, you can simply right click and then edit the data in the Word document directly. What if this chart was created on another Excel file? So let me just go back to edit data and put this on an Excel file. And let's say we have created a chart here. And let me also change the chart type to a pie chart. Right. So how do we get this chart on Word? Control C, come back. And all we have to do is press Control V. And now in Control, we have the option for link data, which makes sense, right? This means that any change that happens to this table will reflect not just here, it will reflect in this chart as well. So quick recap. In this lecture, I have shown you how you can insert an Excel spreadsheet, which is a blank one, where you can do a paste link with Excel, or you can just copy an Excel, come back and then do a paste special, and then go to insert link. And then of course you can work with charts as well. Either create a chart on Word directly, or you can create a chart on Excel and link it with your Word document. One final thing that is available is some quick tables available. For example, I have a calendar, in fact, a couple of calendars. Nothing fancy, just a simple calendar, so that you don't have to create it manually. In case you want to present something to a user saying that this is the period where, I don't know, the focus on some marketing initiatives should be there, you can just create a quick table and highlight it. And if you can go through the other tables, you notice that there are a few calendars and you have some double tables, matrix, and so on and so forth. Keep in mind, this is a regular table, not an object that you're inserting. Hi everyone. In the last two lectures, we worked with tables, slightly complex but very important, especially if you work with spreadsheets a lot. And this lecture is going to be much more interesting because we are working with images, videos, icons, 3D models. Let us start with images. I can go to insert and go to pictures. I can select an image from my system. I can select some stock images and also some online pictures. So if you have Microsoft 365, you will have many online pictures available. All of them are copyright free. So if I want to search for analytics, I will get copyright free images related to analytics. If I type, let us say finance, I will get images related to finance. Just click on it, insert it, and the image comes. Once you have the picture, you also have a new tab called picture format. And on this, we have many options available. Let's go through them. All right, first we have corrections. Correction allows you to increase the brightness and contrast or reduce the brightness and contrast. For example, you can see I can make subtle changes to the way it is appearing. For example, if I select this one, the image becomes much brighter and higher contrast. Right? This is the original one. This is the new one. There's nothing right or wrong here. It is up to you to do a hit and trial and see what you like. You can also sharpen the image. Sometimes images are a little blurred. So if you notice here, I can sharpen the image by clicking on corrections and sharpen or soften. In color, we have a few options to change the tone, or we want to recolor it, or we want to change the color saturation like this. So it's a little difficult to explain when these things are handy, but let's say you want to keep a watermark or an image in the background of some text. It might be handy to keep a different color here. Obviously, there are many other variations available, so you can choose any color that you want. In artistic, let me undo it. In artistic effects, we have some very strong effects available. Personally, I think, never used them, but then they are there and definitely have a look and maybe you will find something that you like. Transparency, as it suggests, is transparency, so I can make the image transparent like this. Compressed pictures is very handy because if you have 50 images in a document and the images are very high resolution, the size of the document will obviously increase. So I can go to compress pictures and say that I want to change it not to the default resolution but to email or web. And by changing it to 96 or 150 ppi, which is pixels per inch, it is great for consuming it in a presentation or in an email or as a PDF. And it might not be of print quality, but most of us don't create Word documents for print quality. I can also go to reset picture so that all the effects go away. In picture styles, we have some different styles available. So we have some shadow effects, some borders. Again, it's a quick way of making your images look much more interesting. There is nothing right or wrong here. It is up to you how you decide to use it. In fact, let me also delete this text. It's a little distracting. So let me just quickly right click and then, okay, got it. All right. So now we want to, so we have seen the picture styles and there are many of them. We can also apply picture borders, which can be a color. And then we also have picture effects where there are even more options available like this. So you have different types of reflections, glow effects like this, shadow effects, and so on and so forth. So let me come back. So picture effects has many different options available. Let me just make sure why It's not working. Just a moment. All right, it should work now. That's strange. Let me just get one more image. So I will go back to insert picture, stock images, and we will select any image. It doesn't really matter. All right, let me go to picture format, picture effects, and let me show you how everything works. So we have glow, we have bevel like this. We also have 3D rotation like this. My suggestion is that first go to the preset and see if there's something that you like, because the other options can be quite customizable, but they also take you a lot of time and effort to get it right. Picture layout is used when you're working with multiple images. So we only have one image right now, but let's say we have multiple images with us. So I'll insert once again some stock images. So I'll select 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, let's say. And we have all 5 of these. I can press Control A, select all of them, which doesn't really seem to work. Just give me a moment. First, let me reduce the size of the images. All right, and I'm not really sure why Control A is not working here. Nevertheless, let me go to picture format, picture layout, and you notice that when I select a layout, nothing seems to happen because we do have to select multiple images. Never mind. What we'll do is I'll press Control and then just click on these images one by one, which I'm still not able to do. It's a little odd. Um, Let me do one thing. Let me just put one image here and go to picture format, picture layout, and we will choose a layout, anyone, let's say the picture caption list. And now you can add a shape. If you look on the left, these are smart arts, just like you have them on PowerPoint, you have them on Word as well. So I can add a shape here. And on this shape, I can now click on the image icon, go to stock image and select an image which we want. So I'm not really sure why I was not able to do Control A. There must be something that I'm missing. But anyway, you can go to Smart Art, add shape. So you get a third image, click on the image icon, select either from your system or from a stock image, click on insert, and you get a beautiful Smart Art like this. You even have different layouts available for the Smart Art. So one click, you can change the type of layouts as well. Not all of them will work because these are pictures. So all the Smart Arts do not support pictures. For example, this one does not support pictures, but if you select the continuous picture list, we get a beautiful Smart Art like this. I will be discussing Smart Arts with you as well in this lecture. Let's just finish off with pictures first. Let me choose a picture from my system. Once again, going back to picture format, we can add some alt text. Alt text is a text description, and this is very useful because sometimes the system on which we are displaying the image might not be able to display the image. So we want to show to the person, or rather explain the person, what is it that I have shown in the image. So I can say the image is a joke about how people think ML is easy to learn, right? So if you ask people, do you want to learn Python? Everybody says yes. But the moment you ask them, do you want to learn mathematics? Everybody says no. So that's the joke. This means that it will not be visible to everybody, but then people who have low visibility or maybe they are visually challenged, they will be able to use a screen reader to read this text. All right, then we have position, and this is very important, so I will spend some time on it. Let's say we have some text like this. Now, if I put this image and I drag it somewhere inside the text, you notice it doesn't really come properly, right? If you go to the top right corner, you have some layout options, and we have the first one, which is square. This means that the image will come, let me make it a little smaller. The image will come like this, completely surrounded by the text. Looks very clean, and this is how you would like to do it professionally, right? Then we have tight, very similar. So if you look at the first one and the second one, very similar. It's just the way the text is represented. Then we have through. Through again is very similar to the text wrapping styles, the first and the second one. And then we have top and bottom. As it suggests, top and bottom means that wherever you place the image, if I drag it down, the text will not appear to the left and to the right. It will only appear above and below. After that, we also have behind and in front. So if I say behind, then it acts like a watermark almost where it comes at the back. And remember, this is where something like picture format, transparency can be used, for example, like this. And then, of course, you have in front of text as well, in case you want to place the image in front of text or on top of some other objects that are there on your Word document. Maybe if you have different images, you can layer multiple images like this, one on top of the other. All right. Send backward, bring forward only comes into play when we have multiple images with us. So I'm just going to select some images from stock images. And you notice that this image is on front of the one behind it. On this one as well, I will select in front of text, right? So we have 1, 2. And if I want to send this to the back, I can simply say send backward. Or I can say bring forward. Very simple. But what if you have multiple images, let's say 10, 15 of them? That is where you can use selection pane, which allows you to see a list of all the objects that are there on the Word document, which makes it much simpler to select them and give them a name and hide or show them and essentially work with multiple layers. This is something we usually use in PowerPoint, but it is handy in Word as well if you're working with shapes and images. Back to SmartArt, back to picture format, we have the option to rotate, very simple. And we also have the option to crop it. We can crop so that if you want to select a specific area, you can do that. Or you can also crop to a specific shape. So I can go to crop to shape and select, let us say, an oval. This would allow you to change the entire shape. And now if you click on crop once again, I can change the area that I want to select. So for example, if I just wanted to select this person who was appearing here like this, I can do that. Right? So it's a very smart way of creating these different images that you have. And now when you have this, you can also go to Picture FX and I can go to preset and apply different presets. And I'm sure you will agree that these look really nice now. For example, look at this. All right. Let me show you practically how we use them. So for example, we have an image. I'll just copy and paste it. On the second image, I will go to crop to shape and select a rounded rectangle, the second one. Again, click on crop. We will only select this part which has the middle portion. We can make this a little larger and we can also put a picture effect here, something like maybe this. And I'm sure you will see where I'm headed with it. This is such a smart way of presenting or highlighting something in your image like this, right? So this is an image, but I'm able to highlight this area. And if you want to make the background a little duller, I can go to picture format, and in corrections, I can just choose a different type. Or I can also go to color and choose, let's say, a black and white like this. Just see how nice this looks. So I have a nice colored area which is in the middle that I've highlighted, but I've also made the background black and white so that the attention of the user does not go there. Excellent. Let me insert a new image. Once again, we go to insert and pictures and stock images, and I will select, let us say, an eagle, maybe the fourth one. If you want to remove the background, which is the sky, and only want to focus on the eagle, I can click on remove background, and it automatically detects the eagle and removes the sky. But if I want to specifically select certain areas to either remove or keep, I can click on mark areas to keep and mark areas to remove. For example, in mark areas to keep, I will just zoom in and tell Word that this area is something I want to keep, but mark areas to remove, the sky I want to remove like this. This small area also I want to remove. I want to keep this area. I want to keep this part, then this part, and this part. So it takes you a few keystrokes, but you see that the tool is quite good at detecting what you need and what should be kept and what should be removed. So it would not be as good as, let's say, Adobe Photoshop, but it would get the job done. At any point, if you make a mistake, remember you can also press Ctrl Z, so that works. Obviously, the higher the original resolution of the image, the better this tool would work. And when you have done it, you can click on Keep Changes, and now you only have the eagle. What this means is that if I put some text at the back, if I say random, and I put this image as, let's say, square, it would look like this, right? But then if I make it in front of text, it looks like this. So what's happening, if you haven't understood what happened, when we remove the background, the sky did not become white. What we essentially did was we made it a PNG. That means that it is only a cutout of the eagle, everything else is gone away. And I'm sure you can think of different ways in which something like this can be used, where you can remove the background. So we have almost completed what all we have in pictures. So quick recap, we have remove background, corrections, color, effects, transparency, compress, styles, border, effect, layout. We also have done crop. This is height and width. In the next lecture, we will continue this topic and I will show you what are the other types of stock images available, and also how do we work with 3D models, how do we work with shapes, and how do we work with smart art. Hi everyone and welcome back. This is a continuation of the previous lecture where we were working with images. In insert pictures in stock images, let us see what all we have. So we have images, we can also have different tags that we select, and these are all copyright free, high resolution. In icons, we have, as you can see, different icons available. Then we have some cutout people like this. We have stickers and we also have illustrations. Remember, the tool is getting smarter day by day. For example, if I say happy, it shows me images that has a happy face. So if I say happy boy, you notice that it is showing me images of boys and men. If I say sad, I'm getting sad, frustration, anger, stuff like that. So it's very smart at detecting what type of things you want. And if you want to make a template with the same person in different poses, you can just choose any person, let's say Shreya, and I can see different poses for the same person. For example, I can select this one, and here I will insert a text box like this, and I will say Welcome to my course on Microsoft Word. We'll place it in front of text and then this can come here. Let me also rotate it a little bit so that it matches the board that she's holding. And you can see how nice this looks, right? It's almost like a professional report that we have managed to do inside our Word document. All right, let's go back to insert. Icons, remember, even though it all looks black and white, you can change the color. For example, let me select something, this one. I will insert it. And let me also copy this two more times. So on the first one, we can go to graphics format and change the color to, let us say, red. And then we have a neutral gray, and then we have a gray. So this would be a nice way for you to show low battery, medium battery, and high battery or full charge. We also have 3D models. You can either import a model that you have already been given from your design team, or you can insert some stock 3D models. These are also available on the internet for free. And there are a lot of them. So if I say, let's say product, okay, it doesn't give me anything. So let me say sales. It gives me a 3D model. And this is fantastic because I can play with the 3D model like this, right? Let's come back. We have SmartArt just like we have them on PowerPoint. So I can go to SmartArt. In fact, let me first put some text. So rand 5, 1, select everything, SmartArt, and then I will click on OK. And okay, that did not work. So let me, all right, I think this only works on PowerPoint. Nevertheless, let me do it manually then. So insert and then SmartArt. Let me insert something interesting. So maybe this, the trapezoid list, and then I can just select, I can open up from the arrow, the text option here, just put everything and paste it. So back and paste it here. Don't need the sub points, so I can just delete the sub points. One more time, we can select, cut it, and then come here and paste it here. Let me delete this. You get the idea, right? So just see how nice this looks. And SmartArts, obviously I've covered in more detail in my PowerPoint course. But here as well, you can see that I have a SmartArt design option where I can change colors. I have different types of styles available like this. And I can obviously select multiple layouts. So once the first SmartArt is created, you can go to multiple types of layouts. Using SmartArts is something people surprisingly do not think of in Word documents. We are all used to using it on PowerPoint, but if you think about it, it's very smart to use it in Word documents as well. If you want to convert the SmartArt back to a regular text, you can just click on reset graphic and it converts it. Oh, I'm sorry, reset graphic will remove the SmartArt styles, and I do not think SmartArt in Word has that option, but just keep in mind when you're working on PowerPoint, there is a button that allows you to convert the SmartArt back to text. To the best of my knowledge, I do not think we have the option here in Word. All right. Let's also look at videos now. Very simple. In Insert, we have the option for online video. And I can just enter any URL here. For example, let me go to my course. Let me go to any one of my videos on YouTube. Just copy the URL, come back and paste it here. And as you can see, the video has been embedded and you can simply click on the play button and the video starts playing directly from inside the Word document, which is great because you don't have to send links separately. All right, let's see if there's anything else that I missed. So we have done 3D models, pictures, or we haven't done shapes. So let's quickly do that as well. In shapes, we have very simple, different types of shapes available. For example, you want to create, let's say, a nice arrow. You can just select the arrow and just drag and draw it like this. Remember, just like pictures, you have the option to place the shape behind, in front. Most of the time, you would want it to be in front of text. And most of the options you have in PowerPoint, you will find it here as well. So in shape format, we have, like I said, most of the options we have in PowerPoint. So we have shape fill, shape outline, shape effects, so on and so forth. Great. So that concludes our lecture, and I will see you in the next one. Hi, everyone. In this lecture, we will look at proof, share, and collaborate. And I will also discuss in more detail how editor, thesaurus, commenting, track changes works. Let's first get some text. We are creating a document, and I feel that I have used the word powerful many times. So I want to search for a synonym, or maybe I have a word, but I feel I can search for an alternative word. Rather than going to Google, you can simply go to review and you have the thesaurus here. The shortcut is Shift F7. Simply click on it, and as you can see, we have both synonyms and antonyms given to you. So any word that you want, I'm sorry, any word that you want, you will have to type it. So let's say I have regulatory. No. Let me come back. So powerful, a synonym, a better synonym would be, let's say, influential, but that doesn't really fit here. So let's say video provides a potent or a great way to help you prove your point, right? I believe when you're writing text in documents and you want it to look very professional, not just aesthetically, but also in terms of the language and the grammar that you're using, the thesaurus is a very powerful tool and you should definitely use that. But let me show you something even more than this. What if I've written something? Let's say I only have one single sentence which says, video provides a powerful way to help prove your point. What if I made a mistake? What if I said video provide? Now you notice that it gives a double underline and it tells us that, you know what, I think it should be plural, so it should be videos. I can also go to home and there is an option called editor, which is F7. The same option is also available in review here next to thesaurus. And it tells me that there is one suggestion. And what is the suggestion? That there is a problem here. So video provide does not really make much sense. So I should change it to video provides. And the moment I do that and click on resume, it tells me everything is great. But what if I write something which is grammatically correct, perhaps, but probably is not the best way to write it? For example, I say, just provide a powerful way, and I change it to more powerful way. And I say, and increasingly. Right? So if you notice, even though it's not the best, because videos provide a more and increasingly powerful way, might probably not be the best way of putting it in a professional setting, but it works because it is very refined right now. There really is nothing grammatically incorrect with it, right? Let us take a different example. I'm writing, of course, you can make changes to the document to improve it. And let me try this once. So on review, we have editor, and let's see if we get something. Now, very interestingly, it tells us that there is something, not spelling, but related to grammar. And what does it tell me? That after an introductory word or phrase, a comma is best. As you can see, this is the suggestion it is giving. You can either ignore it or you can click on it and it makes that suggestion. This is a tool that Microsoft is still working on, and we expect that it will get better and better over time. And it's wonderful to have this feature with us. So we've done the thesaurus, we've done the editor. The next thing I want to show you is how we can do translation. So we have written something, very simple. Select it, go to translate the selected area. It detects that the language is English and I can change it to any language I want. So I can choose German, for example, and it converts it into German like this. Works beautifully. Do keep in mind, it is using Microsoft tools. It is not using Google Translate. From my personal experience, there is no clear winner. So in certain cases, I prefer Google. In certain cases, I prefer Word. But definitely, Microsoft is doing a very good job at this. Now, let's say you're working on a document and you want to send it to other people and you want to share it with other people. I can simply click on the share button here. Like I said in the first lecture, you do have to upload it to OneDrive. That is mandatory. So I will save it. I just call it my Word course. Press OK. Excellent. And the moment this file has been saved on OneDrive, you notice that I can send it, obviously, and I can also send it to other people in a way that I'm not really sending the file one time, but they can edit it, right? So I can either share it with people in my organization or I can share it with specific people. I can also give them access for editing, right? So I will apply and then I can start putting email IDs here. If I say, let us say, okay, I don't really have somebody on my OneDrive for the moment, but let's say I have an ID that is selected, I can just select that person and click on send. Very simple. All right, let me go to manage access. So remember, um, you are the owner, but you're giving access to different people here, right? Whoever you are selecting. Let me cancel this. Next, we want to look at track changes. What that means is that I'm working on a document and I would like to send this document to my manager, and my manager, in all likelihood, will suggest some improvements or some changes. So let us say this is the document which I have received from somebody else, right? But I want to make a few changes here. So I want to tell the person remove the first line and change the next line to bold and maybe remove the first few words, something like that. To do this, I can click on track changes, and what that does is it literally keeps a track of all the changes that I'm making to the document. Why? Because when you're doing version control, there are multiple revisions that need to happen, or a feedback process is in place, you will want to tell the person what changes are required or what changes you suggest. So I click on track changes, right? So this button is enabled. And if you notice, when I delete the first paragraph, it doesn't actually delete it. It puts it in red color with a strike through, telling the user that the person giving the review has deleted it. If I make it bold, it gives a statement, a remark saying that it has been formatted as bold. If I say this should be changed, so I do not want to say, for example, you can add a matching cover page, header, and sidebar. I want to say you can add, so I want to write, you can add a matching cover page, header, and sidebar as an example, right? You can see that the change has been marked here, the addition and the removal. And now when I send this back to the person who is the original author, they can obviously see the document and they can see what changes Habisha has made, right? If I change the color here, for example, make it green, it tells the original author that I have made a change here, right? And if I insert a table, right, this table will not be marked Why not? Because it's a new object that I've created, right? So keep in mind, if you create a new table shape and all, that is not accepted, the revisions that you're marking. If you look at the option, we can look at original, which means that this is the original document. We can also look at simple markup, which just highlights the changes. But if I click on it, it shows me all the markups like this. When it goes back to the original user, the person can either accept or reject the changes, either one by one or all the changes. And you can also go to changes in a sequence like this. On compare, I can look at revisions from multiple authors into a single document, right? So my original document can be selected and my revised document can be selected, right? I'm not getting into details. This is quite an advanced topic, but if this is something that you feel is important, definitely Google and have a look at this. Similarly, we will also click block authors and restrict editing, not important at the moment. Since we're on the topic of sharing with others and other people having access to our file, let's also look at protection. On file and info, we have the option to protect our document with a password. But this is not how I would recommend you to use it. I would recommend that when you're saving it on your desktop, so I'm going to save it on not on OneDrive anymore, but I will save it on my desktop. I will click on this option called Tools and then go to General Options. And then I have two options, one to open and one to modify. So for open, I'm keeping a password O, and for modify, I'm keeping M. One more time, O and okay, I'm sorry, let me do that again. So press OK. So O and M and save it. Let me close and reopen it. Now, since you have kept, just a moment, let me close everything else so that there is no confusion. So I should not have any other Word documents visible. Excellent. So you can see I have no other Word documents at the moment. I will double click on this Word document. The first thing it does is to ask me for the password to open. If I don't have this password, the first level, obviously it will not open. Let me say the user has the open password, which is O. Even then it does not open because now it says, do you have the password to modify the file? If the user does have the password, you will put it. But if you do not have it, you will have to open the document as a read only. Now this means that I have opened it as a read only and I will not be able to make changes to the original document. I can only go to track changes, right? So let me see if I'm able to show this to you. Okay, I am not quite sure why I can still make changes, but nevertheless, um, let me show it to you in a different way. So file, then info, and then protect document, and I can encrypt it with a password. So you can put the password here to protect the file, right? If you want to. So remember, we have two types of password. One is to protect the document. In fact, let me show it to you on a different Word document so there's no confusion. So file, info, protect document, encrypt with password, and I will say O, okay. Once again O, and then okay. And then we'll save it on our desktop, and I'll call this password. Let me close it and we will reopen it. And you notice that the moment somebody tries to open the file, either you have the password or you do not have the password, right? So that covers our topics. We have seen in review how we have editor, we have thesaurus. We've also already seen the read aloud option and the dictate option earlier. We have also seen translate, and we have seen how we can track changes that we have and how we can share our documents and protect our documents as well. Hi everyone. Let us look at printing documents file, and then we have the print option here. You can choose the number of copies, the printer. Then in settings, you can also select if you simply want to print the current page, all the pages, only the selected area, or if you want to print a specific set of pages. Sometimes you only want to print odd or even pages, so that option is also available. We also have the option to print one-sided, which is the default, or manually print on both sides. Collated and uncollated is also important when you have multiple copies with you. So, for example, if you have multiple copies that you're creating, then the page number one of all the three copies will come first, the page number two of all the copies will come first, and so on and so forth. So it depends on how you want it. You can change the orientation and the size, even though we don't recommend to change the size and the orientation here during the print, but in case you need to, you can always do that. Just like that, the margins can also be changed, and you can also fit multiple pages into a single page. For example, if I want to have 2 pages per sheet, I can do that. Right now it is set to print to PDF. Let me print it and save it on the desktop. So you can see that 2 pages have been printed on at the same time. Then in page setup, we have some further options and you can explore them, even though most of the things that you require would be available here itself. You don't have to go to these options unless you want to customize it even more. Hi everyone. In this lecture, we will look at mail merge. In mailings, we have the mail merge option. The idea of mail merge is that you can create one document but send it to multiple people, and every copy will have specific details pertaining to that individual. This is the Excel that we have. We have name, age, department, and contribution to business. So what we will do here is to first save the Excel. We'll save it on the desktop and call it mail merge. Just call it employee database. We don't even need to open this Excel. Let's close it. Come back to Word. On mailings, start mail merge. We will select step-by-step mail merge wizard. We want to create a letter, so we'll keep it at that. We don't really need to change it. Next step, I want to use the current document, or you can even start from a template in case you have one. Select recipients, and this is where you have to choose the Excel file. Click on browse and select the Excel file that we have, which is the employee database. Click on OK. As you can see, the data has been captured. At this point, if you want to sort, filter, find duplicates, you can always do that. Or if you want to deselect some people in case it's a very large table. Click on OK, and this recipient list has been added. So if I click on edit recipient list, you notice I can see the list here. Next, we will write the letter. So let me say hello, and then we need to have the name. You have been working in the department. Then we say your contribution to the business has been, and this is the template that we have. And now we can place the fields that we have captured from the Excel. So in insert merge field, we have all the 4 options. So I will insert name here. Here we will insert before the department. We will insert the department. And Here we will insert the contribution to business. How do you preview the results? Simply click on the preview results and you can see the results here. I can also go to different records like this, and we will click on finish and merge if we want to print all these documents. But before we do that, let us also note that if you look at the results, the numbers are not coming correctly. I would like to see it as a decimal place with only two decimals. To do that, press Alt F9, the function key, and you can see the code behind this. And you will have to put a slash hash 0.00. It's a little difficult to explain how this works, but you can just go online and see formatting of Word documents when you're doing mail merge. And you can see how different types of field codes can be used and how the displayed result would come. You simply have to Google mail merge format in a specific type of number. This is what we have done. Let me go back to preview results, and now you notice, let's press Alt F9 once again. This time only the numbers come like this. Excellent, right? Now we can go to finish and merge, edit individual documents, press OK, and a new document has been created where every single page we have the letter for 4 different people. Do keep in mind that mail merge is a very large area and there is a lot of complexity that you can put into it. For most of you, the basic mail merge would get the job done. But do keep in mind that mail merge is a very vast area. And if you're curious and if you feel you have a need for it, definitely go online and read about it in more detail. Hi, everyone. In this lecture, I want to introduce you to what we call web apps. On insert, we have add-ins, which are additional functionalities created for Microsoft Office. And these are available for Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and these have been created by Microsoft, by other companies, as well as other developers. Some of these are free, some of these are paid. And you can think of them like apps that you have on your mobile device. Similarly, you have applications available here as well. For example, if I click on Wikipedia and I add it, there is a Wikipedia pane that opens on the right side. Keep in mind that the Wikipedia option has also been added in insert because it's so important. So let's say I want to search for Harvard Business School. I can simply open the link. In fact, let me expand it a little bit. I can expand the article and I can browse, I can do my research, and maybe there is something that I want to copy. So let's say we have the first paragraph that we want to copy. We can do that straight away. We also have a insert button that appears here, right? And just give me a moment. Right? And I'm not really sure why the insert button is not working, but you can check it out on your own. But the idea here is that you don't really have to have a browser with you and press Alt Tab constantly because you can refer to Wikipedia directly from inside Microsoft Word. There are many other apps available or add-ins available. We have something called Script Lab, which allows you to create your own Office add-ins using TypeScript or JavaScript. So if you're a developer, you should definitely have a look at this. And there are no add-ins that I would specifically recommend or anything like that. But web apps is very important. in the ecosystem because it allows other developers to create their own content. And that might be really, really handy. So things that earlier would not be possible, or you would have to wait for Microsoft to release it and work on it, you can simply find it in add-ins. Also, there are several firms that have created their add-ins. For example, we have MailChimp that has created an add-in. Let me just try to see if there is at least one example that I can show to you, which might be relevant for you. Let us go to editor's pick, and there really is not much here. Okay, let me show you Picket, or let me see if we have something else for icons. So we have icons by Noun project. Let's select this. So the add-in is paid in the sense that there are certain features for which you have to pay. And this add-in gets added to the home tab. So unlike the Wikipedia add-in that appeared as a pane on the right side, this add-in has got added to your ribbon permanently. Click on it, a pane opens up, and if you want to search for an icon, let's say numbers, I can just do that. And whatever I want, I can just click on it and it will get added to PowerPoint. Like I said, you do need to have a paid account to Nine Project for this to work, but you get the idea of what add-ins are capable of. The add-in is nothing but a web page. So what you see right now is nothing but a web page that is displaying the content. As a matter of fact, if you right click and go to inspect, you will see that you have the entire HTML, CSS, and JavaScript at the backend. So definitely spend some time and have a look at all of these. Hi everyone. Let us also look at how we can work on Microsoft Word from the point of view of being an academic researcher or a B school student. In references, we have already seen a couple of things. As a matter of fact, we have not seen references at all so far in this in this course. So let's go through the things one by one. The first thing we have is researcher, which is going to help you search for people, search for articles in specific areas. You also have search, which will search for definition, images, web pages, and so on. So in search, I can search for something. So let's say I'm searching for media related to marketing, and it would do that. If I'm searching for web, it does that. And if I'm searching for marketing as files, it doesn't really find anything. So let me say finance. Okay, so no luck there. That's all right. We can search for the web and we get all of this. But more importantly, we have researcher where we have an option to, let's say, search for Philip Kotler. And you can see that we can select all, only websites or journals. So if I select journals, we have different papers that has Philip Kotler in it. And if I click on any one of them, it gives me the name and the year. And if I click on create, it gives me the entire bibliography. Very cool, right? Now, in terms of what styles you have to follow, all the styles have been given here. So we have our most common one, which would be APA, and the second most, which is Chicago. We also have IEEE and a few others as well. You can also see you have built-in bibliographies that you can keep. There are citations. You can also add placeholders and sources. I'm not covering this in detail. This course is not about references in Word specifically. It is about introducing the topic to you. If you want to learn any of these topics, just do a simple Google search and you will find it. We similarly have cross references, table of figures. These are a little difficult to work with because everything has to be set up. And like I said earlier, for most of you, this might not be required even for academic work, unless you are pursuing a PhD or something. But then do keep in mind that you have all these features in references. But if you're in the corporate, most of us probably ever do not even need to go to references except using one thing, which is table of content. Now, what table of content says is that if I may put in some text here, table of content says that I can just put a heading first. So this is my this is my introduction, and then we have some other text, right? 2, 3, and 4. We have 4 pages. I can select introduction, and then we have to go to the navigation pane, which would be a view and navigation pane. Right now, you can see that we don't have any headings with us. Let me close this. To put the heading of this section as a proper heading, in home, we will select heading. So I'm going to select the style as heading 1. Let's go down. Here, I will select and put it as heading 2. In fact, let me first make a new line and then put it as heading 2. You notice that the heading 2 also gets added here. Right? This bibliography is coming because we have this bibliography. So to avoid any confusion, let me delete that and only keep the introduction. Just give me a moment. Excellent. So we can now delete everything. All right, I'm not sure why we are not able to delete it. Just a moment, let me delete it from here. And this is a control, so we will have to delete it, I believe, from the design mode, is it? Hold on. Let me check. Okay, got it. All right, so we have the introduction, which has heading 1. Then we have a point here. And after that, we have our next page. And my content is mysteriously gone. Nevertheless, we will again create some content here. So we say video provides a powerful way is my second heading that we have. So we'll select this, and on home, we will select heading 2. As you can see, heading 2 is the second level that is coming below this. If you want to promote it, you can do that. If you want to demote it, you can do that as well. And let me just copy this a few more times so you get the sense of what we are trying to do. This is an excellent way for us to create a table of content in our document. For example, right now, you will notice that we have introduction, then we have some subheadings below it. Obviously, these can be minimized and maximized. If I make this heading 1, then this becomes the first level. For example, if I copy this one more time, and first I'll make it normal, remove the level, and then put it as heading 1. Right? This is how you can make a navigation pane. And now when we go to references, we can also insert a table of content. So let me just select the table of content here. And as you can see, let me first come to the first page and we can insert a table of content like this. Very simple. And obviously there are many different types available in table of content, and you can even customize the table of content.